Vaccine makers just got some extra protection against lawsuits, courtesy of the U.S. Supreme Court. It was a 6-2 decision, and the court upheld a federal law offering compensation to families that say their children suffered side effects like seizures and delayed development from the drugs, but put an end to the threat of family lawsuits. NBC Chief Medical Editor Dr. Nancy Snyderman is here with us, and I'm wondering what you think and if you have a sense of how the medical community is reacting to this decision.
I think it's the right decision. I know that's going to go down the wrong way for some people, and I think the medical community applauds it, and here's why. We became perilously close to losing companies that would even make vaccines because of the, now we know, incorrect science that linked MMR vaccine to autism. And because of that, and because there were so many huge lawsuits, we became perilously close to not having any vaccines made anywhere in the world. So the court stepped in and said, look, there has to be some protection. We will set aside federal money for people who file grievances and who can prove they have been harmed by vaccines. And there's always the occasional person who's harmed by a vaccine, so that there is a process to be compensated. But this mass class action lawsuit idea that can bring down pharmaceutical companies, they put an end to it. So from a public health standpoint, it was the right thing to do, even though I know it seems people don't get their day in court. It's just that it's a different kind of court system with reimbursement if you get harmed.
Well, you mentioned autism, and that was part of all of this.
Right.
And now there's apparently a better way to actually assess autism risk.
Yeah, you know what? Look, here's what we know. Vaccines don't cause autism. And for those of us who have autism in our families, and I'm one of those families, you can start to see the soft signs developing long before toddlerhood when parents go, oh my gosh, something's really wrong.
Right.
So scientists in Boston started looking at the brains and developing brain waves and how kids sort of process the most basic electrical structures of the brains. And they started with about 80% accuracy being able to predict which children would develop autism later. It's not something that you can take to the mass market today, but it is something that in the future I would be able to say to you, Chris, I think your child is at risk. Let's start intense behavioral treatment early.
Because that can make a difference?
Absolutely, it can make a difference. It can make the difference between a kid with Asperger's becoming the next, biotech wonderkind versus sort of not doing so well in school. But I think we really have to look at the biologic, neurologic, early stages of autism and get off the what happens when kids are 2, 3, and 4 and start to intercede much, much earlier.
It's fascinating stuff. Dr. Nancy, always good to see you.
Thanks, Chris.
Thank you so much. We're minutes away from another court appearance by Lindsay Lohan. Will she face jail time? Will she dress differently than she did the last time?